Hello and welcome to YourLocalNote.com. I'm RJ. Mike Stringer also with me. We've got another featured podcast, and this week's featured podcast is Taji Aqib, along with his partner, Sudan, and we're going to be talking about their music and what they're doing, and they're hip-hop artists, and I think this is going to be very cool because I think it's an intriguing story that Taji has, and we're going to explore it as we continue on. That's going to come up in just a couple minutes, but right now I want to remind you we got a newsletter that you can always subscribe to. It's very easy. It's free. Just send us an email at contact@yourlocalnote.com. We're streaming 24/7, and we've got free apps you can download. Go to the respective stores and type in YLN. Download it absolutely free and take yourlocalnote.com with you anywhere you want to go. All right, let's get everything started. This is Taji Aqib with I Just Want to Say on yourlocalnote.com.
I just want to say, yeah. I just want to say, hey, I got a whole lot on my mind, yo. It's ugly out here, cuz hard to look at. Let me just put it to you like this, man. Yo, the jewels I spit reflect some elegance to the streets of the city. Cruel and connecting these testaments, words reek of a grizzly. Ain't no other way about it, man. Hoods of Philly, please no pity. Hammers are bang you from every angle, these cats leaving them empty. You wonder why all this violence? Damn, well the reasons is plenty. What our politicians are safe up in their offices, squeezing them pennies in the streets, grimier than an MF. Impeach them, they guilty. Trouble start at the top, pointed to people that's keeping them shitty. Ain't never seen this kind of street, not one of these seasons is friendly. Cold, hot, cool, warm, don't matter, your teeth will be gritty. And I'm a product of my observations, that's why my beast is this filthy. With the type that gets you giddy like the geek squeezing a titty. My expressions come from the diaphragm, I breathe with my message. I'm about peace, but bring out the beast and I'll leave you quite blessed. Life's evasive, but I ain't afraid just cause it's keeping me guessing. No sense in wasting my time with it, instead I'm heating them lessons. Now listen, yo, if you ain't being born, you dying. I ain't got shit to lose, get rich or die trying on me. Yo, got a lot on my mind and it's ugly out here, hard to look at, can turn an honest man crooked. Listen, if you ain't being born, you dying. I ain't got shit to lose, get rich or die trying on me, homie. Got a lot on my mind and it's weighing on me. Go ahead and add some perspective to the situation,
it's
homie.
my prerogative like Lee Brown. If I spin around my town reckless on a crowd with sawed on tied around my neck like it was a necklace. Do what I wanna do, ride who I wanna ride, shoot who I wanna shoot. It's a must I survive. Somebody gotta explain why. I ain't got nothing. I make a lot and ask a lot. Sometimes it tells me nothing. What the fuck I'm on this earth for? Guess it's just too many niggas talking too much folklore. You never squeeze the gap, bitch. All you sparking is mashes. I shot 50 cal and provoked Cold War. Last body I caught was over respecting. Check, telling on myself, but nobody can do nothing about it, cuz he's gone talking about it with his lord. My soul was taken at a young age. Most people looked at me strange. I patrolled my hood with a K in my pants leg. Telling niggas to give up their goods. We can do it the easy or the hard way, cuz do you standing, do you make late? What?
Yeah, if you ain't being born, you dying. I ain't got shit to lose, get rich or die trying on me.
I just wanna say,
got a lot on my mind and it's ugly out here, hard to look at, can turn an honest man crooked.
I just wanna say,
if you ain't being born, you dying. I ain't got shit to lose, get rich or die trying on me. Got a lot on my mind and it's weighing on me. Let me add some perspective to this situation, homie. Yeah, if you ain't being born, you dying. So I ain't scared of shit, get rich or die trying. And I ain't mad if you just out here surviving, getting out how you gotta get it. Listen, ain't too many that get rich without lying, cheating, stealing, or something trifling. Once or twice, a few times, believing somebody, anybody else but you frying and you crying. I prefer to keep all that at a minimum, although nickel and diamond is not my thing. So to feed my family, I'll get out there and bang. And trust me, if I can't get by rhyming, I'm ready to swing. Close my eyes, throw a couple hate makers and see what it bring. Cause life ain't throwing no jabs, these streets throwing straight from the hip. And unless your defense like Floyd Mayweather's, you better dip or come back with some heat of your own. See, I got a thing about Lord, he always had homies, but walk my own path for the kings to annoy me. And kings call it a war if you ever put a hand on their family. An eye for an eye, I don't wanna die, but I'm ready to fly, understand me? If you ain't being born, you dying. I ain't got shit to lose, get rich or die trying on me, homie. Got a lot on my mind and it's ugly out here, hard to look at, can turn an honest man crooked. Yeah, if you ain't being born, you dying. I ain't got shit to lose, get rich or die trying on me, homie. Got a lot on my mind and it's weighing on me. Let me add some perspective to the situation, homie. But wait, yo, if you ain't being born, you dying. I ain't got shit to lose, get rich or die trying on me, homie. Got a lot on my mind and it's ugly out here, hard to look at, can turn an honest man crooked. If you ain't being born, you dying. I ain't got shit to lose, get rich or die trying on me, homie. Listen, Let me add some perspective to the situation, homie. Yeah, if you ain't being born, you dying. Yeah, I ain't got shit to lose. I'm a wolf, man. Taji Aqib, Roscoe.
Scope, cold chain. And I'm ready to hurt something.
It's ugly out here, hard to look at. You turn the honest, crooked. Yeah, and I just wanna say,
The song is called I Just Want to Say, and that's Taji Aqib, and he's with his partner, Sudan. Guys, welcome to yourlocalnote.com.
Thank you.
All right, Taji, let's get started with this song. What is it about?
It'd probably be better if I tell you how it came about. I used to have a studio a few years back, and I was with a group at the time.
Okay.
And it was called Rare Breed. And one of the artists in my group was working with, his cousin is Roscoe P. Coltrane.
Okay.
He's from Philadelphia. He used to work with the Neptunes.
Mm-hmm.
And he brought him by the studio one day. And we were just looking for a song to do. And I just want to say it's kind of like, it's just something we came up with on the fly.
All right.
Had no real specific subject matter. But when he did his verse, it was kind of a little bit more street than what I was trying to do at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So what I did basically is adapted my rhymes to fit his subject matter and make it so it was kind of like, I don't want to say positive, but it had some sort of substance to it. Yeah.
Okay.
So I basically tailored my verse around his to make the song basically be about doing whatever you got to do to survive.
All right. Okay, very good. Let's get back to when you got started in music. You've been doing this a long time. You started when you were a kid. Let's just give a brief overview of how you got started, your influences.
I started rhyming when I was maybe about 9 years old, but I wasn't looking at it as like a business at the time. I was just doing it for fun.
Right.
Copying other artists that I liked at the time. This was like, listening to maybe Run DMC, groups like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, as I was doing that, maybe 5 years later, around 14 or so, I decided to do it on my own. I figured, I'm good at reciting other people's rhymes. I might as well see if I could do it myself.
Good response from other people that you're rapping in front of?
Yeah. Yeah. Like, at that time I was doing, like, that was in the era when people were doing, like, ciphers in the street and battle rhyming in the street and stuff like that. So I was doing a lot of that at the time.
Right.
Times have changed since then. People don't do that as much, but that's the era I came up in. And, Tribe Called Quest in particular really inspired me to do my own thing because I was real into Tribe Called Quest. I think the first video that really got me into it was El Segundo.
Okay.
I left my wallet on El Segundo.
Just watched that the other day.
So that's when I tried to, I decided to do my own thing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, like I said, I was around 14 years old or whatever.
So you started young doing your own thing.
Yeah. And the mindset that I've always had was to do my own thing. Like, I never was one to seek record deals.
Mm-hmm.
That just wasn't that's not how I was raised. My father and my mom kind of had my mind, going in that direction from early on.
They supported you getting into music right away?
Yeah. More so my mom. Like, my father, he went along with it, but, like, he was more of a, he was into jazz and stuff like that. He wasn't into the hip hop thing.
Okay.
So, but, he supported it because he knew I was good at it.
Okay.
And my mom, she had been there from day one.
All right.
And was 100% behind what I was doing. So, I also produce, but I didn't start off that way. I started off just as an MC.
Okay, but when you first started, you're doing your own thing. I guess, especially in the beginning, and that far back, a record deal had to be in your mind at some point.
Yeah, I mean, it always is, like, even now, but it's not at the forefront of my mind. Basically, I always looked at it like that will come. Like, if I'm doing my own thing, if the right deal came down the pike, then I would look it over and maybe, accept the deal. But
things have changed so much, especially with technology, the do-it-yourselfers is really,
right.
I think, where it is.
Right.
Yeah, it's like the age of independence right now.
Right.
Yeah,
And
which is great, exciting, and fun, but there's also challenges to that.
Right.
It's like when I look at it now, it's like I wish it was like this when I first started off.
Right.
Before, it was kind of like you had to look for a record deal.
Exactly.
And I got offers and stuff, but they were like things where I'd be on the shelf for however many years, and they wanted me to work with their producers or separate me from the people I worked with, that type of thing. So
good experience though to from the business side.
Right. Yeah. Definitely.
To deal with that, and it's funny the stuff that you're talking about as a program director at radio stations. You would talk to different artists, and the stories were always the same. And I remember one story we had in one station I worked at, a young girl. She was a teenager, started about the same time you started, as far as age-wise is concerned. But her dad was a lawyer. So she was getting a record deal, and he called me up because we'd worked with her a lot with the radio station, and he was beside himself as far as how the record company was treating her. Right. And I said, you don't understand. They're not used to dealing with people whose father is a lawyer. They're used to people who are desperate for a record deal.
Yeah.
And they're going to sign on the bottom line, and they don't care. Right. So, but those days are over now.
Yeah, but that's why you have a lot of like established artists that were in like big major label record deals that are trying to break from a lot of those contracts now, and they wish that it was like independent, like how he said.
Yeah. They have to wait until their deal is over.
Yeah, or some of them stuck in it forever, man.
Because they get put on the shelf.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that before, and that's so. That is, I think, kicking them now, because you guys. Yeah, a record deal would be nice, but it's only on your terms now.
Right.
Which is the advantage, and the pressure's on them because they've got all these bills to pay. They got people they're employed. They got rent and buildings that they own and things like that. Yeah. So from that standpoint, it's exciting. But the challenge is everybody who's got equipment thinks that they're an artist.
Exactly. Right. And that's the problem, because it's like, I know I do good work. I know Sudan does good work. But the problem is that...
You wouldn't be with us if you didn't do good work.
But the problem is, it's like everybody has an avenue to push their stuff in people's faces.
Right.
And everybody thinks, like you said, that they're a rapper and they're a producer. So what happens is, if I'm say on, to use a simple example, say I'm on Twitter and I'm saying, I tweet somebody to listen to my work.
Right.
There's a billion other people that already did that.
Yes.
And they probably listened to a billion other artists, and they were all trash. So it's like, what's separating my tweet from the billions of others
exactly.
that went to that
exactly.
person.
Well, hopefully we can help out with that. So that's what we're trying to do here. Now, writing music, you write all your music and all your words to the songs. What comes first? The beats come first?
That's a good question. I actually do it a little different than I think most MCs do it. I actually just write my rhymes with no beats.
Okay.
And I pretty much always do it that way. And then I do beats the same way. I just make a beat or whatever. And then when I spit my rhymes, I kind of match it to the beat as I spit it. So like, I might write the verse and intend for it to be delivered a certain way. But once I pick a beat to match it to, I might change it up, the delivery of it. So I mean, that's the way I do it. Every now and then I'll make a beat, and I might like the beat, and I say I want to do a rhyme to this beat, and then I'll write it to that beat. But I don't usually do it that way.
Do you ever ask like Sudan to help you out with that, saying, "Hey, do you think this matches up, or what do you think of this?"
No, I kind of just.
No, okay, sorry about that.
But what I do is like every time I do a song, he's one of my trusted ears. So like I'll do a song and I'll email it to him and like maybe 5 other people whose ears I trust.
Okay.
And get their response to it and their opinions of it, and because I don't think it's good as an artist to just think that you're trust your own ear all the time. You want to get a little bit of feedback from the song, and that's where improvement comes from.
Okay. All right. When writing rhymes, putting that together, do you use personal experience? Do you try to say, well, no, I want to tell a story here and get a message out? And really, I haven't experienced it, but I've got a good story to tell here. Is it that, or do you have to experience something to write about it?
I usually write from experience. That's my thing. Like I like to use experiences that I went through and tell a story in my rhymes. And the thing is that wasn't what I set out to do. But I've heard people say I'm a good storyteller. I never saw myself as a storyteller. Okay. But from the response I've gotten, I guess that's what I am. But I think what it comes from is that, I like to speak from experience and have substance to my work, because I think as an artist you have to have gone through something, or at least be able to express something you've gone through to be a real artist. Okay. Because if you're just doing anything else, you're basically just acting. And I think people who have a real ear for art can hear that.
Okay. And now let's go to the second song we're going to feature tonight on the podcast. Tell Me Why. And in listening to that and what you just described as far as being an artist who can tell a story, I heard that in that song. Tell us a little bit about Tell Me Why.
Tell Me Why I wrote during a period where I was experiencing a lot of loss. Like my friend died, my father died, my grandmom died the same year, my uncle died the same year, which I don't talk about in that verse because I didn't have enough time to talk about it. Yeah. So that song actually went through a few revisions. It wasn't on that beat to start off. And I think the verse went through a few different changes, but that beat, when I made that beat, it spoke to me, and I decided to put the verse to that, and it fit perfectly.
Okay, very good. The song is called Tell Me Why. We're hanging with Taji Aqib and his partner, Sudan, and this is yourlocalnote.com.
Just finished a 6-month sentence. Now we had a job in the car. It wasn't much, but what the most expected. On his way home from work, just another day it seemed. Except for the fact it was his first day and his eyes gleamed. Cause his girl and his little boy was waiting for him at home. Couldn't restrain a smile, but kept from dialing his cell phone while driving. Cause now we treasure the life that God gave him. But he was sleepy, and it was a long ride to his haven. Maybe calling his girl might at least keep him alive. But fresh from jail, not alone, like you to talk and drive. Must have just blinked his eyes before a moment time froze. Just one night, the Mack truck swiped him off the road. A day earlier, we was hitting the course. Running ball, that's my boy. Always had my back, ready to take the fall. Now we was all one short. Glass severed his neck. Ain't even get the respect of a chance to get his life correct. Come on.
This is why I wanna know.
If you can answer me.
I wanna know. Please tell me why I'm dying down inside.
Why he had to die so
and every
soon?
night I celebrate. 'Cause it hurts more every day. I need to know. Tell me why they had to go so.
He grew up in a black bottom, a place true to his namesake. 1930s, they called it the Great Depression. The oldest of 6 siblings, all packed inside the same place. One abandoned room with just moms to teach him lessons. He tried to be the father, but he spent his time in and out of confinement so much. It was like home, it served the same purpose. At 19, he was discharged from the service. They said he couldn't take orders. Really, he made the whites nervous. Back in the hood, it was jail and drugs on death's bosom. Until he heard Elijah Muhammad and became a Muslim. Corrected his life and raised 6 kids with his wife. But he did it all in a hustle under the street lights. Nothing in this world could defeat him until he met cancer. I was the youngest of his kids, 20-something with no answers. The funeral procession was too long to see with eyes like it should be when a legend dies. God, don't tell me lies.
This is why I wanna know.
And if you can answer me,
I wanna know. Please tell me why I'm dying down inside.
good people, why they had to go?
Night I nearly pray. 'Cause it hurts more every day. I need to know. Tell me why they had to go so.
3 months after my father, my grandmom died. And it's sick of me to see the sadness in my mom's eyes. Seem like you never get a chance to say proper goodbyes. Whenever a loved one passes, too early for those alive. But your time is your time, we all gotta go in the ground. And no matter when it happens, somebody asking, why now? Why my father after working so hard to get a life? Why my boy who was just getting ready to commit a wife? Why my grandma right after her daughter became a widow? And can I get an answer besides that's how the shit go? Or why some children before they even get a chance to breathe? I'm looking for answers, guess I get them when I leave.
This is why I wanna know.
And if you can answer me,
I wanna know. Please tell me why I'm dying down inside.
why they had to die so
Every
soon?
night I nearly pray. 'Cause it hurts more every day. I need to know. Tell me why they had to go so soon. This is why I wanna know.
You can answer.
Why I had to see
I understand now. Yeah, see, my father, he always told me you can't go back and change things you done did in your life the way it was meant to be. But if Allah did wish him to choose another way, he would ask for the same mother and same life. He would then meet the same wife. In Islam, an extension of family that introduced. And he would have the same children, the extension of ourselves in the tomorrow. Our tomorrow, for we are an extension of each other out of those that preceded us, going back to Adam and Eve. And for me, see, I don't care what you believe, but you never know what this life gonna conceive. So when you stop to grieve, when you stop to breathe, you know what I mean? Think about what all of those that went before you achieved, man. Why did they bleed? See, I was one of them seeds that was allowed to grow, sprout, lead. See, all I know is it wasn't just so. I could party and bullshit. Be good.
The song is called Tell Me Why. We're hanging with Taji Aqib on yourlocalnote.com. All right, Taji, you are a producer, you're an MC. The difference, what's the difference, as far as your responsibilities are concerned? As an MC, what do you have to do? And then as a producer, what kind of mindset do you have? I mean, do you have to almost have two different hats that you're wearing?
I would say so, yeah. I think they're two totally different things. Like, MCing, I actually think MCing is a little easier because maybe just for me, because it just comes easier to me. I've always been into writing, just all different types of art, writing, and and that's just something that comes easily to me. Production, I had to learn. It wasn't something that was natural to me starting off. So, but the production hat is like, you have to have a lot of responsibilities, and I think there's a difference between being a beat maker and being a producer. As a producer, you kind of have to compose the whole project or whatever that you're working on. Like, when people come to the studio to work with me, they'll ask for advice on how they're delivering a song, and whether it sounds good and all that type of stuff. And so, a beat maker, for example, would just give them a beat and they do whatever they want to do with it. Okay. That's the way I see it. A producer has to do more than that. He actually has to help develop the song and the final product. And it's harder because it's a lot of technical things that go into the production side.
So when an artist comes to you, are they coming to you with their own stuff, or they come to you and say, "Hey, do you have any beats to match this project that I have?" Or is it a combination of?
Yeah, like more often than not, they come with a song and they'll say, "Do you have something that might match this?" Or they might have an idea in their head already what kind of beat they want. Okay. And they say, "I want a hard beat," or "I want a soulful beat," and I'll go through my archives and see if I have something that I was in the process of making or already finished that might fit what they wanted. And every now and then, during one period of time, the way I preferred to work actually was to have people come with an idea in mind, and I compose and I make the beat on the spot.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's how I used to prefer to do it. But because of time and
isn't that a lot of pressure though? I mean, to come up with something like that.
Not if you get the right energy going.
Okay.
Yeah. You're in the zone.
All right.
You would think. You would think it would be tougher, but I don't know. Like, I just think that it's easier for me to come up with the sound that they wanted if I can do it on the spot like that.
When you're putting together a beat, I mean, what are you using? I mean, there's all different. I've listened, on SoundCloud, you've got your songs there. You've got some of the songs that we're playing here, and then some of the instrumentals that you have. Mm-hmm. I mean, you're using all different things. You have a synthesizer, right?
Yeah.
Do you have a drum machine?
No, I do everything. To be honest with you, I trust Reason. Like, that's my go-to program. Okay. I used to work with a lot of hardware and stuff like that, but because I'm old school, like that's what I came. That's the generation I came from. Right. ASR 10 and like Kurzweil keyboard and all that type of stuff. Still have my Kurzweil keyboard. Got rid of my ASR 10 and But now, since things have been computer-based, that's pretty much what I use. And I have a keyboard that, I use to, play stuff out or whatever. But I'm pretty much all Reason and Logic.
So what comes quicker to you, a beat or a rhyme?
That's a good question. I think it depends on what my mood is at the time.
I mean, are you walking down? I mean, some writers, songwriters that we've talked to in the past, they have to have a notebook with them and things like that in order to write the song. That's you. Yeah. Don, you got the notebook. So
yeah, I have.
Taji goes, okay, write this down.
I type my stuff out.
Yeah, I've tried that. Like, he types his rhymes, but I cannot get into it. Like,
okay.
I actually type it for backup, but I have to write it first.
Okay.
Like, I can't just type it.
So you'll write out. But then what if a beat hits you? You're walking down the street and all of a sudden, or if you're sleeping, you wake up, you're like, okay, I got to get to my computer.
I rush to wherever I mean, I do write stuff out, but my writing is kind of just like random notes and like, you know, like 2 bars here, 2 bars here, scattered all over the paper.
So then you sit down and try to put stuff together.
Right, and then I piece it together.
Okay, so you'll take just a few lines and be like, okay, I'm going to just store this here, or just write it down, make sure I remember that, and then go back to it.
Yep.
So you're not the type that can sit down and say, once I start, I have to go to the end and finish it.
I do that too. Like, it depends on what my mood is. Like, you know, there's beats I've made where it really inspired me, and I just sat down and just wrote the whole song, because I can get a little obsessive compulsive when it comes to things, and like if I have in my mind I need to do this, I have to do it. Like, I'll be all day and don't even eat because I have to finish this thing. So that happens sometimes. Yeah.
All right. Tough to work with then if you can't have a lunch break or anything like that.
No, you forget about it. You don't even realize. I didn't eat today because I was working on music all day.
Okay. So now you trust Sudan. You're a select few as far as that is concerned. Do you ever get into a writer's block where you're just like, I just can't?
Yeah, definitely.
And then what do you do? How do you get out of that?
I think I think my method probably is to step away from music altogether for a little bit and then come back. I get blocks a lot, like lately, especially with writing, because I've been so focused on doing so many other things,
right?
Engineering and mixing the songs down and making the beats and whatnot. It's like practice. Like, you have to be in practice with things to be in a groove with it. And writing has kind of been put on the back burner with me in particular. So like, the block comes with the writing, not necessarily with the beats lately.
Okay, but you are working on a new album right now. That's that's still in the process of being completed.
Right.
So, any idea when that may come out?
I'm trying to get it out maybe by
the summer.
Summer at the latest.
Okay.
Fall.
Okay. We'll when you get it out, we'll bring you back in and talk about that.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Okay. Very cool. So you're wearing the different hats. Where do you go as far as when you're producing? The direction you're there, your writing then just gets ignored.
Yeah, it kind of does. And that's the hard part, like trying to keep up both at the same time, because it's a time thing. And that's where my biggest struggle is right now. I'm trying to stay on top of things as an artist, but also because I'm doing so many other things, getting those things done at the same time. Like, it's a crunch, you know what I mean?
Writing and producing your own music is what you love to do.
Right.
Producing music for other people is something that you're doing because you love it, or is it something you have to do because that's part of paying the bills?
Paying the bills.
Okay.
I mean, that's the way I look at it. Like I said, I got into production. Actually, I didn't tell you this, but I got into production because I didn't want to pay other people to do my beats.
That makes sense.
Right. So, I started off making beats for myself. But looking at it long term, I don't think I want to be rhyming forever. So, after that's done, like, beats will be my bread and butter.
So it was more of a not only a business decision, but a career decision.
Right.
Knowing that this has a shelf life of so certain extent, and then you can make beats forever.
Right.
Okay, sounds good. All right, let's move on to the next song. It's called The Bookkeeper. Taji, tell us a little bit about that.
The Bookkeeper is one of the few songs that I actually wrote to the beat.
Okay.
And it has more of a stylistic delivery on that song, as opposed to my other songs, which are kind of like, more free as far as like how I'm delivering them. That's more my thing, like to have like a kind of like a free delivery, no specific scheme or pattern with the delivery, kind of like almost like spoken word, with a rhyme edge over beat. I don't know, for lack of better terms, but Bookkeeper, you could tell, is kind of more don't want to use the word gimmicky, but it has more of like a stylistic delivery on that beat.
Okay.
And
You're having fun with it.
Yeah, and I chose to release it as a single because it crosses over a little bit. Like it can be radio, it can also be underground.
Okay. And the bookkeeper, what is that about? I mean, the words, the story.
It's about just being on my grind and being about my business.
Okay.
Basically, in a nutshell.
Very good. All right, we're hanging with Taji Aqib and his partner, Sudan. The song is called The Bookkeeper, and this is yourlocalnote.com.
Check it out, yo. I just got a little hustle, got a little grind, couple little things to give myself peace of mind, couple little things to keep myself out the bind. Make a couple beats, write a couple rhymes, buy a couple noodles with my dirty couple dimes. Cause I gotta live frugal till the change start to shine. In these humble times I commit a couple crimes, send a couple gifts for their trouble to the leprechauns. Learning from my lessons, trying not to fall behind. Cause the burning in my chest, I'm running out of time. So I count my little blessings, pay attention to the signs. Spit a lexicon, full stop before I cross the lines. Crossing on my T's, dotting on my I's. Pronounce the INGs while I'm plotting on my prize. But believe me, it's the INGs, the one to realize. Get it, to put it more explicit, let me summarize. Ninjas, I handles my business by any means necessary. Effortless, I got a bulletproof chest I carry. All bought by the passion of a quest to vary. It's the only time you'll see me take a rest. Call me the bookkeeper, call me the bookkeeper, call me the bookkeeper, call me the bookkeeper. I'm about my business, I'm about my business, I'm about my business. I keep it in the black. Hey yo, I just got a little hustle, got a little work, couple little jobs for the eyes, a little dirt, couple ends for my troubles, couple little perks. Never took orders well, self-sufficient little jerk, couple little blood stains on a couple shirts, scuffs on my knuckles show the pain cause the struggle hurts. Little muscle for the tussle, little Captain Kirk. Command the fleet of stars fresher than the pack of certs. Lining up the sheep and preparing to sink my teeth in. The AKA's the wolf, for whatever reason. Insomniac demon, hardly ever sleeping. I understand rest is needed, but I take my breaths in secret. Mean it, anytime you see me, I'm like the extra beast. Product, never less than decent, cause my steps are seasoned. The chef, my ingredients, you taste the expertise. And the best believe I'm food blessed for eating whatever breath I'm breathing. I handles my business by any means necessary. Effortless, I got a bulletproof chest I carry. All bought by the passion of a quest to vary. It's the only time you'll see me take a rest. Call me the bookkeeper, call me the bookkeeper, call me the bookkeeper, call me the bookkeeper. I'm about my business, I'm about my business, I'm about my business. I keep it in the black. Hey, I just got a little hustle, couple little gigs, couple little trees growing a couple little figs. And I write them all down cause banking's a corrupt biz. Never trust nobody but yourself to know your numbers, kids. Couple little rigs, couple little rings. I mean fire for fire, couple little things, couple little fangs. I need them in the jungle, cause sometimes you gotta get grimy to get off the bubble. Couple little things to push a rubber past doubles. Dollars in the bank, invest a few, stash a couple. Couple Benjis in the wheel, they riding every rumble. Pumble in the gas, faces still crumble from the last scuffle. Only on occasion dressed in slacks, blazers in the vest. But I keep it black, ink, stack paper in the desk. Official man, no mistakes with the paperwork. So get your ink straight, or the paper ain't gon' work. I handles my business by any means necessary. Effortless, I got a bulletproof chest I carry. All bought by the passion of a quest to vary. It's the only time you'll see me take a rest. Call me the bookkeeper, call me the bookkeeper, call me the bookkeeper, call me the bookkeeper. I'm about my business, I'm about my business, I'm about my business. I keep it in the black. Hey.
The song is called The Bookkeeper, and we're hanging with Taji Aqib and his partner, Sudan. And let's talk about where people can find your music, Taji.
I'm on all the social media sites. It should be easy to find. Taji Aqib, no underscore, nothing in between. So it's TAJIAQIB. So, SoundCloud, / Taji Aqib, YouTube.com, Taji Aqib, Twitter @Taji Aqib. Instagram @Taji Aqib.
Okay, very cool. The thing is, we talked about it before, touched on the fact that you're so busy, not only working on your own stuff, but producing other people. It makes it tough to try to do shows.
Right.
Okay, so when you have some shows, I'm sure once you get the new album out, you're going to promote that and get out and do some performing?
Yeah, like we should be getting into the performance thing as soon as it starts getting a little warmer out, probably. But
okay.
It's not that the cold is holding us back. It's just that I'm using this time here to just get work done,
sure.
and get the songs finished and stuff.
I don't blame you for not going out in the cold.
right. Like the motivation is out there to go out anyway. So it's like, all right, I'm gonna get this. I have to get my product done first.
Right.
And then, we'll start doing a lot of shows.
Yeah, the spring is when we really.
So that's what you're aiming for.
Really hit. Yeah, we really been like focusing on the music and videos right now.
Okay, so now when you do live shows, is it just the two of you, or do you have other people that play with you? How does that work?
Pretty much just us. Like,
okay.
He's been doing more shows recently, and it's just him. Like
you'll do your own shows.
Yeah, and I'll bring Taji on to the songs.
Yeah, like
okay.
I have a couple songs with him, so like
that you two have worked on together.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Right.
All right, then we're gonna have to bring you in by yourself when you get an album out, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know. I come with Taji.
Okay.
We come as a package.
Yeah.
Okay. That sounds. So, but you're working on your own stuff, or?
Yeah. I actually started. I was just an MC, but I got into production
with Taji.
Yeah. He kind of like tutored me into it. And
okay.
Like he said before, he was kind of busy, so I kind of wanted to leave him alone.
Sure.
So, I mean, it gave me the chance to actually extend my musical area. So yeah.
Okay. So Taji, do you listen to the stuff that he comes up with and critique it? And
yeah, same.
Okay.
Yes. A lot of times I try not to call him because it's like it's that trial and error. It's like you giving in. So it's like, oh, I'm stuck right here. Should I call Taji?
Well, that's not really giving in. I mean, everyone runs into a time where they need some help.
But it's better if it's happening throughout the night and you send him what you fixed in the morning. It was like, yeah, listen to this instead of I'm stuck.
I'll say this. The thing I appreciate about Sudan is he's the first person in all the years I've been doing music that I work with who actually put the time in to learn the stuff on his own.
Oh, okay.
And I felt it actually made the use out of having me next to him that he could learn stuff from.
Okay.
Like all previous years that I worked with people, it's like I had so much to do because I had these people next to me that weren't doing what they were supposed to be doing. So it's like I almost had to do their work too.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's what I appreciate about him. It's like he's with the film and everything, like he's doing this on his own. So that's something I don't have to worry about as much.
Okay. Okay. Let's then. Okay. So we'll get you guys back here and we'll talk more about your music later on. How's that sound?
That's good.
Okay. Let's talk about making beats and instrumentals. We touched on where you can find your music, and SoundCloud is a place where you have your music. Making instrumentals. How difficult is it to just put it up there and say, okay, I'm just going to let this go and I'm not going to use it myself? I mean, because when you're creating stuff, it's your baby,
yeah,
right? And you own that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, how difficult is that? How do you say, you know what? I'm not going to write a song to this. I'm not going to write rhymes to this. I'm going to put this out for other people. How do you go through that process?
It's difficult. I guess the way I deal with it is I have beats that are fit more specifically to the songs that I'm doing for those beats. So like basically they may not be the best beat in the world. If I play it for an MC, and they might not hear it and say, oh, I want to get on that beat, but it fits perfectly with my song. So I know I have those beats that fit my songs. And the other ones are like, the hardest thing about releasing those other beats is that these days artists are not willing to pay as much for tracks because what we talked about earlier, there's so many people out there that call themselves producers but are not really putting out quality work. But the billions of so-called rappers and whatnot out there, they don't know what a real beat should sound like.
Okay.
So they'll buy these beats for $5, even $1 sometimes.
Oh man.
And they think they're getting exclusive beats and like, I'm gonna put this on my album, but you can't use that on your album because everybody in the world has that beat. It's not exclusive. But I compose every beat I make from the ground up, like original from the ground up. And people who have a real ear for art can hear that in the track. So, but overall, like people, the price that I can charge for a beat has gone down over the years because
of the market's being saturated.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, So that's the hardest thing about it is like, you know, I'm not trying to release my beats to people who are only going to pay, you know, $100, $150 for the beat.
Right.
Because way more work and effort went into that track.
Sure.
And sometimes I'll hook people up, you know, for, you know, they might know somebody I know or whatever.
Right.
But then you run into the problem of they want to keep getting that same deal over and over again.
Yes. Yeah.
The first time's free.
Yeah. People don't understand how, you know, the work, like you said, the work that you put into it. And,
right. Especially rappers. Like, they just don't get it. Like, they, you know, they think it's just like, I don't even know really what they think, but it's like a lot of work that goes into making it.
Take hours of just putting it together, and then mixing it down, and all that stuff. Yeah, that's interesting. Where can people? So if they want to, if someone's listening and says, you know what, I want to check out his beats, is it again SoundCloud or
SoundCloud is the only place I have my beats right now. I'm still working on my website.
Okay.
So, SoundCloud would probably be the best place to hear my beats now, or you can just email me at tajiaqib@gmail.com, and I can email some tracks.
Okay, and that's where people can get in touch with you if they want you to produce for them too.
Right, tajiaqib@gmail.
Okay, very cool. All right, so the next song we're going to then play is Something Greater, and this is an instrumental.
Yeah, it's a beat I made. It's kind of layered, like a lot of my. That's my favorite way to do things. If it's an original beat, is to layer it.
You layer it.
Yeah,
so what do you start with first? Is there something? Do you have a pattern that you do?
It's no set pattern. It's just what I'm feeling at the moment. But I think it probably tends to be the drums first, or I might play a chord or whatever, and then I just put the drums around it, and then I layer with strings or horns or whatever. But
right. I listened to several of the beats, and the one thing that really caught me was the fact that they're very different. They're not something. Sometimes you hear the beats and you're like, okay, that's similar or pretty close.
Right, exactly.
That really caught me. The first thing that caught me was the fact that, okay, I listened to that beat and I listened to that beat, and I was like, wow, there's really, really different.
Yeah, and that's partly because, like I said, I like to compose everything from scratch. Like I don't recycle drum patterns. I don't recycle drums even. Like I make each drum kit per song. Okay. And some people like samples, so sometimes I have samples. That's not my favorite thing to do because, you gotta get stuff cleared and all of that.
Right.
But there was a period of time where that was a thing. Like, when Kanye did the Through the Wire song, like there was a lot of sampling and stuff. So that's what people wanted. So I had a lot of songs where I use samples and whatnot.
What's the process of getting those songs cleared?
Right now, if I sell a beat to somebody who...
No, I'm saying a sample cleared for a song. If someone comes to you and says, I need you to sample whatever with this.
That's what I'm going to say. Like, I let them worry about that.
Oh, they have to take care of that.
Just contact the actual person that owns the rights to the masters to that song and get it cleared. So,
is it a difficult process?
If
there's money involved in that too,
there's money
right?
involved depending on
how long
you are and what level you are on. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So it's.
I mean, from what I understand, like obviously you can be sued for a song if it's released with samples and stuff in it, but I think a lot of MCs take the risk of being sued for it.
Well, they can say, sue me, and
right.
And is it going to be worth the time of the record company to track the person down, and do they have anything worthwhile to sue for? So I get that. Okay, very, very cool. So they can check out your beats on SoundCloud. Again, let's go over that real quickly. Where can people find that?
SoundCloud / Taji Aqib. YouTube, same thing. YouTube / Taji Aqib. And also have a Facebook page, band, artist page, same thing, Taji Aqib. And
you'll have a website soon.
Yeah.
Okay, very cool. All right, guys, it was really great hanging with you and talking about your music.
Thank you.
What we'll do when the weather gets warmer, you're going to send me where you're going to be playing so we can promote it on our site.
Definitely.
All right.
Yeah.
And then when you get your album done, this will be your first full album?
Actually, I had a full album with the group, but the group got separated before the album got released. so this, I guess you could say, is my second. But.
So who has the songs from the first full album?
I have them.
You have them.
And I'm actually kind of doing some of them over, just taking other artists off.
Yeah, he has like 4 albums.
Yeah, like
do you
worth
really?
of songs. He has like 4 albums worth of songs.
So you're almost ready to go on to your new album after this.
Yeah, like I got countless stuff. Just collecting dust right now, pretty much.
Okay, very cool. All right, guys, Taji, Sudan, thank you so much. Appreciate you hanging out with us. You can check out a new podcast next week. We do that every week. You have a brand new podcast. Again, you want to get our newsletter, just send us an email at contact@yourlocalnote.com. Check out our streaming 24/7. Mike and I also do a YLN update. We go over the latest news in the Philadelphia music area. Keep you up to date on that. We got all sorts of stuff happening at yourlocalnote.com. Okay, we're going to wrap things up. This is the Beats. It's called Something Greater that Taji put together on yourlocalnote.com.